Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inês Cerqueira and welcome to the House of Portugal. And this is the second time in a row that we discuss some curious facts about Portuguese language and Portuguese culture and what is this about, all these emotional ways of being and mindset. Above all, and before all, let us try to give a couple of minutes to everyone that would like to still join us. Internet sometimes requires us to give a little bit of time, and I hope that you have already set your intentions, that you're starting your clearing and your decluttering of spaces, your drawers, your old clothes and old things, that you bought your new diary, that you have a fresh new book to write this year to come, and that you are also now putting all your intentions for this year and your wish lists, and everything is now in order, that you even have new pens or new stationery, your office desk is ready to rock and roll, and who knows, maybe learning a little bit more about Portuguese and Portuguese people and Portuguese ways of doing business are something that are on your bucket list for 2021. Well, let's hope so. That would really make me happy. So today we're going to talk about, we can say, the 10 reasons why to learn Portuguese, but I would say that you already have your own reasons. I can go and tell you that because you wish to travel to Brazil, maybe Copacabana, maybe go to Carnival do Rio, go and samba, and definitely you would need some Portuguese, or it would come handy, or you are planning to do business in one of the Portuguese spoken countries of Africa, maybe, or even in another place of the world, or even your intention is because you just you are a Luso descendant and you would like to get hold of your grandparents and your relatives. They are in Portugal and never learn how to perfect the English language, and that is just one of your goals, or even because you are planning perhaps some investment, or maybe perhaps moving to Portugal and finding Portugal as your new home. No matter what your intention is, it will be a valid one, or even for just the joy of learning a new language. If you are passionate about languages, this is not a very hard. It makes sense. It is complex. It has a huge lexic, so vocabulary is immense. But once you get your grammar and your rules right, you will see how it just flows. And believe me, I myself, even recently started to learning my sixth language, Finnish, and that is totally different from my mindset. So it was a challenge. But again, once you want to do something and you set your mind onto it, you just put your hands and you go through it. But I would like to tell you today about what is this and how hard is it to learn Portuguese. So, welcome to my living room, and let's start a small chat, shall we? In the meantime, I'm going to see if we have, who do we have here already with us? And by the way, did you have your 12 grapes by midnight and you wish you made your 12 wishes by midnight? Or did you wear maybe blue underwear or something new? Those are also some of the Portuguese traditions. All right. So I will just start by discussing a little bit of how hard is it to learn Portuguese. And as you say, if you decided to start learning Portuguese and want to find out how easy or hard of time you have to look forward to, there's some good news and bad news for you. The bad news is that no one can really tell you what you will find difficult about Portuguese or any other language. Most of the language learning comes down from the learner's motivation and perseverance, and that's what really decides whether you will become fluent or not. And the good news is that for English speakers, Portuguese is actually widely considered to be one of the easiest languages to learn. The Foreign Service Institute lists Portuguese amongst its category of languages the easiest, along with Spanish, French, and Italian, to name a few. They estimate it should take around 600 hours to learn, but again, all of this, it's completely subjective and what really matters is rather little for your personal experience than for your professional experience. So, what is the motivation? As I started in our conversation, what brings you to want to know more about this language and about this culture? And you will see that most of it it's totally compatible with your daily life. So let me start by giving you a quick introduction to Portuguese, because Portuguese is a member of the Romance languages, so Românticas, which belongs to the Indo-European language family, together with the Germanic languages, believe it or not, meaning that English and Portuguese have a surprising amount in common. And if you happen to already know a bit of French, Italian, or Spanish, even better. Those are other members also of the Romantic languages or Romance languages. And you'll be sure to find even more similarities with Portuguese, because Portuguese today has a wide global reach. It has around 250 million native speakers and is often considered to be the fourth most natively spoken language. Due to the expansionist activities of the Portuguese during colonial times, it is now important and widely spoken language in Latin America, in some areas of the Pacific, many countries in Africa, and many areas in Asia, in Asia and India Pacific. So in the Indic and the Pacific. And you will tell me, okay, but what is really the difference between Portuguese and Brazilian? Well, if you want to get either a Portuguese or a Brazilian person really irritated, that's the perfect question. That's the perfect way of how to start. Well, it's large. I myself was taught in classical old-time Português before the Acordo Ortográfico, muito antes, way before the Acordo Ortográfico that came to force already in the 21st century. And I still battle with the new rules, with the lack of accents and the lack of punctuation, the too long sentences without the commas, and so many. But there are more Brazilian native speakers than Portuguese. So that means that you will find most commonly in the internet and say Google a whole lot of material in Brazilian Portuguese more easily than in the classical Portuguese. So Portugal and Brazil can arguably be considered the two most influential Portuguese-speaking countries. Portugal as the original exporter of the language, and Brazil due to its largest number of native speakers. There are also some differences in the way the language is used in either of the countries. For example, in Brazil, Portuguese is more like sang. It has more like a swag. It's more nice and flowy and smiley. Well, then in Portugal, where it's more classical and more formal and more structural. So sometimes even a little bit more boring. So if you're thinking about starting your Portuguese lessons, it might be good to take a minute to consider these dialects before choosing which one to learn. What is your audience? Why do you seek to learn Portuguese? Where are you going to use it most in the near, medium, and long term? That will give you a good grasp for the which Portuguese to use, the classical or the Brazilian. The good news is that both Brazilian and European Portuguese are still the same language. For example, while Arabic can have such stark differences between regional dialects as to make it unintelligible, two Portuguese speakers should still be able to understand each other, even though they're from the opposite sides of the Atlantic. That said, there are some differences between the way Europeans and Brazilians pronounce their words. Additionally, there are also some irregularities in the formal and informal speech. The classical Portuguese, as I said, more formal, um, uses the singular, the plural, but also the third person on each singular and plural. And Brazilian Portuguese usually is based on the second person, so not using it as a reference or a subject. Um, while in Portugal, people use tu, the second person, only in informal situations with their friends or family, and você, as the third person, is reserved for more formal settings. Also, within family, but more classical or with the families, they are um, more strict in terms of their upbringing and their mindset. Brazilians made more liberal use of você, mixing it in informal and formal settings. So it can be like a little bit, you don't know if it's because it's formal or because the person just feels like using the word. There are some differences in grammar and spelling. But in general, the two versions have more in common than apart. So when you're deciding which dialect to learn, take a moment to listen to both versions being spoken. Consider which language or culture seems more appealing to you and take it from there. My advice, if you wanted on a more business orientated scenario, and if it is your first approach, I always recommend to start with a more classical before then you can adventure onto your swag or more nice Brazilian Portuguese. What you might find difficult and what is the most common things English speakers struggle with when they're learning Portuguese are pronunciation and understanding what is being said by native speakers. Mind you, this is especially true for the European version, this classical Portuguese, where speakers tend to swallow their vowels and it might be difficult to distinguish between syllables. Portuguese also has some sounds, think nasal vowels, like my name. My name is Inês. 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 You see, Inês. So it's a nasal sound. And there are plenty of these words. And the pronunciation of each word can have totally different meanings as well. So it will be important for you to understand these differences. So because of this, these sounds that English speakers are not used to, um, there are also some letters that are pronounced different according to the context. But when you compare though or through or tough, you see that even that can be learned. And the language also features some world-class tongue twisters. But every language has its tricky parts, and you should definitely not let that hold you back at all. So I can just conclude that Portuguese is a fairly simple language to learn. Although Portuguese has its own quirks that you will have to come accustomed to, it's still rather closely related to English, not to mention other Romance languages, making it a good language to learn. But if you want to keep your motivation high and making Portuguese fun for yourself, there's no reason why you shouldn't succeed in the first place. So why not give it a try? So I was thinking now to give you a little bit of an intro into the Portuguese. Let us just make a small break to see who might be here. Okay. So let me just quickly send here a message. Okay, so to give you a little bit of an intro, like the first thing that we say is on a greeting, right? So you will say, hello, how are you? That's pretty simple, right? So, hello, hola, how are you? Como está? Again, as I said, como está? It's speaking on the third person, the most formal. Now, if you want to really make it like really nice and Brazilian, como estás? Or you can say como está, in that sense that they use the você or cara or meu chapa and some of these more cozy greetings. For an example, you are a foreigner and you would be going to Portugal to study or to work or for tourism. Would you like to be able to communicate in Camões language? Camões, our great poet, but you would never attend a language course. All right, so it's fine. I can give you upfront a selection of sentences. They are really useful for you to be able to communicate in a Portuguese spoken country if you are a foreigner, English or Spanish. All right. And please just first understand that your motivation is key for your success on learning Portuguese. To learn Portuguese, you need to study with, you need to be like really consistent and regular. And without a good investment from your side, you will not be able even to memorize these useful sentences in Portuguese. But above all, it's very important to be highly motivated, to want to learn, because it's mostly always the lack of motivation and not the lack of memory that explain the difficulties that certain people have in terms of getting to learn Portuguese languages. So, Portuguese for a foreigner, might it's difficult, especially if you are an adult, learning something that is foreigner to you again when you just learn so much. And I mean, I don't know how long you left, maybe your studies. So, no, people in Portugal or even Brazil are not even uh, cognizance of how hard it is for a foreigner to come to our countries and to engage with us. And usually we can get also a little bit like, oh, okay, like a little bit impatient because we want things fast. And but that's not always the case. Uh, Traditionally, in the Portuguese culture, if the person cannot assist you, will or prefers not to assist you because he doesn't feel comfortable on providing you good guidance, he will or she will quickly get hold of someone that can come and help you out. Um, so there is this openness of heart and of spirit to assist and walking the roads. So you don't have to worry about. The first thing that I would like to say, for example, let us start with greetings. And let us go now, because I also don't want to sound biased, because I am Angolan Portuguese, so my mother tongue is the most classical Portuguese. Let us now give you an example of the Brazilian Portuguese. Now imagine that you are a foreigner, English spoken person, adult, that visits Brazil. So you arrive in Brazil and you want to say hello, so you say olá. But in Brazil, to say olá, we use the word oi. To greet someone at night, you must say, or you should say, boa noite or good evening. And to finalize, we can also use the word boa noite to wish someone a good night. And another very important word is com licença. Com licença, excuse me. So that can be, com licença can be used to call someone's attention, like com licença, like excuse me. But it all before you ask for a question, because it's the equivalent to say, I'm sorry to bother you, excuse me, I'm sorry to bother you. Would you please? And when you meet someone for the first time and you are an English spoken person, you will usually say, nice to meet you. In Portuguese, we use the sentence prazer em conhecê-lo, or just é um prazer, or just as you would say, pleasure. To say, for example, my name is Inês, in Portuguese, you will have to say, o meu nome é Inês, ou chamo-me Inês, ou sou a Inês. You can also say or hear someone saying that me chamo Kate, but that formula is less used in Portuguese. So for you also to introduce your nationality, and you would say that um, I'm from Scotland, you would say sou da Escócia. And to ask your interlocutor if he is OE or she is okay, you will say, how are you? And in Portuguese, we will say, or Portuguese, remember, in Brazil, você, como está? Ou como está você? Ou então, caso já conheça a pessoa, como vai você? Então, so you should answer, muito bem, obrigado, fine, thank you. And also to say, see you soon, you can use the formula até breve, até amanhã, like see you tomorrow or see you soon. But if you want to say see you next week, then you will say até a próxima semana. So you don't say that I'll see you next week. You will say until next week. So there is very, very, very numerous formulas. And hence, I would recommend that you listen to Portuguese speaking or Brazilian speaking and just get to know your audience. So, what is the purpose that it takes you to speak or understand Portuguese, and then to choose between one or the other, which one it would be easier for you. Maybe your suppliers are mainly Brazilians, so why go and learn classical Portuguese? Just go ahead and learn Brazilian Portuguese. From my heart, that would be my recommendation. So, this was just a short hello. I hope that you find it interesting. These our conversations. There is so much that we can say that I also don't want to burden you with everything at once. I would like to hear from you. You can leave us some comments. What would you like me to share with you about Portuguese and Portuguese culture, about Nordic culture, or even about Southern Africa, or some of our communities, some of our peoples here. For example, in South Africa, where I live, I usually say that are many South Africas within South Africa itself. Only official languages we have more than a handful. And believe me, the only one that I think that I am comfortable with is English. I have never learned Afrikaans or Xhosa or Sotho or Zulu, for example, amongst others. But we all get along because we just find one language that we can all understand each other. And that is it for today. I wish you a very good Sunday. All the best. If you are starting the year, the work, if going back to the office or going back to your professional affairs tomorrow, Monday, I hope that you have everything sorted and you are in great spirits. I will see you if you would like here tomorrow, same place, either YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook at 4:30 in the afternoon, South African time, and we will talk tomorrow about an hypothesis of a case that you are a Nordic, either from Finland or Sweden, Denmark, Estonia, Iceland, and you decide to do business in Angola, a Portuguese spoken country in Africa. If this is a theme that excites you in any way, please feel free to join me here tomorrow, Monday at 4:30 in the afternoon, South African time, and let us talk. And you also, if you would like, can send me your messages. Please diarize for tomorrow. So if you already started to work, you will not miss our conversation. But if in any case you did, you can always go to our Facebook page and watch our video. And you find interesting these conversations and you find them useful, please share our videos. Please share our lives. They will be on our Facebook page. So www.facebook.com/the House of Portugal. And I'll see you tomorrow. I hope that you have a very, very good day, rest of the Sunday, and a fantastic beginning for your week and for your year of work. And take care and stay well.